Oh, howdy all, grab yourselves a beer, it is time for some Path of Exile discussion. Today I wanted to showcase the build that I'm intending to start the Endless Delve event with, which is going to be a Vortex build. Now Vortex is a pretty popular build, it focuses on dealing cold damage over time. I'm doing something a little bit off meta with it though, and I've chosen to go with the Raider Ascendancy. So why the Raider? Well, firstly, in the Delve mines I like moving fast, and nothing moves faster than a Raider. I've also wanted to play the Raider Ascendancy for some time. There's a number of solid interactions between the phasing wing of the Raider Ascendancy and the onslaught wing that look like they're a bit of fun, and also have quite a few nice interactions with Vortex. Now, I would argue that the correct meta call is either Trickster or Occultist. Raider is probably tied with Inquisitor as the third best choice behind those two, but I do think it's definitely a solid overall build. It's also an excellent choice, I believe, if you intend to contest a Demigod's Authority. Now, the Demigod's Authority race will be very competitive, but if you're looking to play a slightly off-meta Ascendancy, I would suggest either playing a Raider cold damage over time build, or possibly adapting this to be an Inquisitor instead, although I won't cover that. If you do want to play one of the meta choices though, looking to play as an Occultist or a Trickster instead with an energy shield focus rather than a life one, the Path of Exile forum content creator Shack Central has a guide for that, and I'm going to put a link below in the description of this video to both their Path of Exile forum guide and also to their YouTube channel. So, damage multipliers are the first thing I want to quickly mention here. One of the things that's important with builds is trying to find various ways to multiply the damage you're dealing. And in this, there's a couple of ways that I'm looking to do it. Firstly, we have Elemental Equilibrium as a way to hammer enemy resistances. So enemies you hit with elemental damage temporarily get minus 50% resistance to other elements. Now we're going to be using that in conjunction with Stormbrand, and this is something we're going to get very, very, very late in the character's development. You'll see here that I've set this up as a level 88 character, and you're pretty much going to get Elemental Equilibrium close to the end of that. So you're not going to have this for a while, but when you do, the ability to inflict minus 50% to cold resistance is absolutely essential. So what you're going to do is you're going to cast Stormbrand on a powerful enemy, then you're going to drop a Vortex. The Stormbrand's going to keep ticking on that enemy, and the Vortex is going to have its damage effectively increased by 50%. So Vortex has an initial hit where it will actually inflict cold damage as a hit, triggering Elemental Equilibrium in the wrong way, but then Stormbrand will tick on that enemy again and overwrite that. So you're fine there. So Elemental Equilibrium is really powerful. Other damage multipliers we're using are Elemental Overload, which, as long as you're dealing occasional critical strikes, we have no focus on critical strikes in this build because critical strikes don't scale up the damage over time of the skill Vortex. As long as you're doing at least occasional critical strikes, i.e. from Stormbrand, you're going to be receiving 40% more elemental damage, and that buff is going to have pretty good uptime once you get to endgame play. The other ways that we're multiplying damage, there's the stat that I've got highlighted on the tree, cold damage over time multiplier. Now we've got 10% of it here on Breath of Rhyme, we've got 4% on this small node, 4% on this small node, I think it's 6% on each of those. So that's about at 30% total, so it's not a huge amount. But cold damage over time multiplier is a stat that you can find on gear. It is quite simply the best stat you can get on gear, offensively anyway. And so as a result, you're going to want to look for that. It's a very important stat to pick up because it's something that will take your damage from mediocre levels to solid levels, and then later on from solid levels up into really solid levels. We're also going to be using a secondary skill. So primary skill is Vortex, and I'll discuss the links, but I'm also going to put them down in the description below. The Vortex levels, Vortex, however, is going to be amped up in its damage by Bone Chill support. Now, Bone Chill support doesn't actually apply to Vortex. Bone Chill support is attached to Cold Snap, and the way that works is it will cause your Cold Snap to make enemies that are hit by it to effectively lower their cold resistance. This is a big one. Massive chills from Cold Snap means more damage for your Vortex. Vortex is the real thing that deals the damage on this build. Cold Snap's no slouch. It'll certainly clean up trash pretty well. but Vortex is massive at killing little things. Sorry, at killing big things. Defensively, we're going to be a life-based build. We've only got 158% increased life on the tree at level 88 here. So it's at the squishier end on that basis. However, we do have a couple of other defensive layers. Firstly, we have acrobatics and we have phase acrobatics for a considerable amount of dodge. Secondly, we have the no witnesses cluster. The no witnesses cluster is really solid. Just the chance to gain elusive on kill means that while you're running through killing trash, you will have elusive very often. Elusive ups your dodge by 15%, and then this decays over time, and elusive also gives you a surge of movement speed. This is really solid. Additionally, in the Raider Ascendancy, we're going to be picking up the Avatar of the Chase, which gives 30% more chance to evade melee attacks during onslaught, for 30% more chance to evade projectile attacks during onslaught. We're always going to have onslaught except at the very start of fights, and this is also going to provide us with a number of other benefits, like 10% chance to dodge spell hits while phasing, but we also have Quartz Infusion, meaning that we've basically always got phasing. So with all of the top end of the Raider filled out, we're going to be in a situation where we're fairly hard to hit. When we are actually hit, it's going to hurt, but we're fairly hard for enemies to actually land a hit on. Okay, so what are we doing in terms of our link setup? In the chess piece, we are going to have a Vortex, a link to Efficacy, a link to Hypothermia, a link to Ally Focus, a link to Swift Affliction, and a link to Controlled Destruction. Now, you're not going to be able to get all of those until very late in your progress through the Endless Delve event. There's another video that I put out which covers why it will be harder than usual to get a 5-link and a 6-link in this event, and some strategies for getting them. You will see a link to that in the last 20 seconds of this video at the bottom left of your screen. But my suggestion is that you just level with any 4 of those. So obviously you've got to have Vortex, but you just use any 4 of those gems. It doesn't really matter which 4. And then as you get when you earn a 5-link, then you add in the 5th one. When you earn a 6th-link, then you add in your 6th one. As far as the actual types of chess pieces you want to wear, I suggest that you look for Satyr Scabs and other evasion and evasion and energy shield bases. Those ones, you're then going to want to roll them to have life on them, and that's going to be the basics. That's going to be the basics you're going to want to have everywhere. You want to have your armor be blue and green pieces, so ones that are ones that have no strength requirement, and that you then want to try and roll life, reasonable amount of evasion on them if possible. Although a lot of your evasion is going to come from Flasks, and then you can get whatever else. If you're really lucky, you'll have the Queen of the Forest unique drop for you, but don't count on that. But that would be the God tier unique item to have drop for you, because it will allow you to move even faster. So helmet-wise, you're going to want to have Val Cold Snap. Now, if you get lucky, you might find the unique helmet Rhyme Gaze. We're not going to assume that you get that. We're going to assume that you're stuck with a rare helmet. And here, you're going to want to link Val Cold Snap to Bone Chill, to Efficacy, and to Hypothermia. You want to also add in Controlled Destruction in the event that you're using a Shaper helmet that is a pseudo 5-link and that has socketed gems are supported by level 16, 18, or 20 Hypothermia. And that's going to be your helmet setup. You can use normal Cold Snap as a substitute for Val Cold Snap. I think that both choices are fine. It's really up to you where you want to spend your Val Souls on this build, but the default choice should be on Cold Snap. How do you get yourself a Val Cold Snap, you might be asking? It's simple, you Val a Cold Snap. Use the Val Orbs that drop for you, and buy Cold Snap gems off the vendor that's in the mines, and you just hit them with Val Orbs until you get one that works. As far as weapon and shield go, you're going to want to use a one-handed weapon and a shield. You're going to want for your weapon to have Stormbrand or Ball Lightning in the weapon, and this is just a lightning skill that hits very fast. Stormbrand is better in my opinion, but by all means try Ball Lightning and see which one you prefer. You're going to link this to Curse on Hit, which is now called Hex Touch support, with either Frostbite if you want more offensive power, or Temporal Chains or Enfeeble if you want more defensive power. The brand itself won't do anything until you get Elemental Equilibrium. It's not there to provide damage. It will provide a little bit of damage by accident, but it'll be nothing meaningful. It won't even be good at cleaning up weak monsters. It's solely there to empower your elemental equilibrium and to spread your curses around. In your shield, you'd love to get your hands on a Shaper shield that has the mod Socketed Gems cost 15% less mana reservation. This is a pretty hard mod to roll, and I'm going to assume that many of you are doing without it. But if you can get this, it's really good. It frees up mana, or it lets you use more auras. It's very hard to get, though, to get that shield mod in conjunction with an otherwise good shield. The sorts of mods you're looking for, though, the sorts of things you want to socket in your shield, you want to socket the following auras. Socket Malevolence, Hatred, and or Vile Grace. And you can shift around between them which ones you've got active at any given time. If you want to go full offense, especially if you've got the 15% reduced reservation, then you can go for Malevolence and Hatred at once. Malevolence is better than Hatred, though. If you want more defense, then you can use Grace. Vile Grace is an option and will provide you with a powerful defensive layer for a short period of time. Use a Purity if you must, and use Clarity if needed. And ultimately, these are the sorts of things that we'll have to actually test how the build performs in-game. And something that hopefully in about maybe 24 to 36 hours, I should hopefully be able to put up a progress video that will give an outline on how that's gone. In your boots, you're going to want a bunch of utility skills here. Now, one school of thought that a lot of people have is using Creeping Frost as well for more damage. I don't know that that's necessary in the Delve Mines. By all means, try it and let me know how it goes if you do. But I'm going to go with a movement skill in my boots, which I'm going to experiment with Flame Dash and Frostblink, and also just any other utility skills that you like to have on a character. So for some people, this is Decoy Totem. For others, it's Steel Skin by itself. For yet others, it's Steel Skin linked to cast when damage taken support. Maybe you want a Golem, maybe you want some other utility cast when damage taken setup, maybe you even want a Warcry. That's all up to you. Consider using Arcane Surge here, consider potentially a Golem that's linked to Arcane Surge, and as another option that you want to consider, and again, leaving this decision up to you, you may wish to consider having a Vile Grace linked to Vile Haste, both linked to increased duration, and also linked to Steel Skin here. Now this is a whole bunch of panic buttons. If you find yourself getting overwhelmed, you can then pop Vile Grace so that monsters can hardly hit you. You can pop Vile Haste so that you can move faster and your non-instant spells cast faster. And you can pop Steel Skin as a really big ablative defensive shield as well. So that's a whole lot of panic buttons that you can have in your boots if you decide to go that way. Ultimately, this is a utility spot. Make your own decisions there. For Flasks, you're going to be pretty much immune to elemental ailments as a raider. Now, the reason for this is Avatar of the Veil. Avatar of the Veil gives you immunity to elemental ailments while phasing. How do you get phasing? You get phasing from Quartz Infusion, which gives you phasing during Onslaught. How do you get Onslaught? You get it from Rapid Assault. 10 seconds Onslaught when you kill a monster, and also 10% chance to gain Onslaught for 10 seconds when you hit a rare or unique enemy. You are going to have Onslaught almost all the time. That means you're going to have phasing almost all the time. That means you're going to have Avatar of the Veil providing you with immunity to elemental ailments almost all the time. Now, it is not all the time, and that's an important thing. If you're playing in hardcore, if you're playing in hardcore, I would suggest just going with a Trickster or an Occultist version of this build instead of a Raider. So let's leave that there. But that's going to impact your Flasks. What I suggest you do here is you need an instant life flask with anti-bleed on it. You want to have some sort of enduring mana flask. You want to have some sort of Quicksilver flask of adrenaline, because this is all about going fast. And you want a Jade flask of reflexes. This Jade flask of reflexes is going to be absolutely ridiculous with the amount of evasion scaling that you have across the build. Even if you're not able to source any particularly good life and evasion gear on the character, which I think most people won't be able to source, you're not going to be able to source chess pieces that have got 2,000 evasion and 120 life on them. Not many people are going to get that during this event. But even if you're forced to make do with far less than that, having a Jade Flask of Reflexes will provide you with an enormous boost to evasion when you really need it. And evasion is a very powerful and very underrated defensive layer. Essentially, it means that when monsters are trying to hit you, most of the time they don't. It has particular synergy with the nearby enemies have 15% less accuracy rating while you have phasing effect that is on Avatar of the Veil. That is really, really, really solid. That has much more of an effect than it sounds like it does. The way that the evasion calculations work, the enemy's accuracy rating is very important to whether you're able to evade attacks or not. I believe that enemies in monster level 83 Delve have an evasion rating of about 960, and so dropping to about 812 with this effect in play is much more impactful than it sounds like it would be. That's going to have a huge impact on their ability to hit you. I think broadly speaking, if you're 40% to be hit by an enemy without this 15% penalty, it jumps to something like 50 or 55% to be... it jumps from 40% for you to be hit to something like 25 to 30% for you to be hit. So it's a very powerful defensive layer there as well. And then, of course, even if they do succeed in hitting you, as far as Avatar of the Veil and your evasion rating is concerned, they've still got to contend with acrobatics, phase acrobatics, all this chance to dodge that you've got here. You know, you've got a 40% chance to dodge here. You may have some additional dodge from your elusive. So lots and lots of ways that you can avoid taking the damage. When you do take damage, though, it's going to hurt. You don't have additional layers to mitigate to mitigate damage. And ultimately, if you try to go mega deep, you will eventually find yourself getting to a point where enemies are one-shotting you. Anyways, I think I'm going to leave it there. I don't obviously have any gameplay footage yet because this is a planned build. It's not a completed build. But I will share some as we get a chance to go into the Endless Delve event. I'm going to have pretty limited playtime on the first day. I've got some other obligations to get through during the middle of the day, which is about league start plus 6 hours. It's a really bad time for it, but anyways, it should still be fun. I'll try to get a few hours in at league start. Then when I have to go, and then I'll be back on, and I'll put out an update video even if this ends up being pretty bad. Comments or questions, fire away below. Otherwise, I'll leave it there. I hope you have a good one.